Good evening everyone, my name is Gaurav Kumar Jain and I welcome you all on this amazingly beautiful channel named Geeks for Geek School, where we guys provide you with free of cost coding classes. First of all, thank you very much for liking and sharing the videos in your groups and the efforts you're making for making us popular day by day. So it's commendable. And thank you to all the students who have attended all my lectures which I've shooted till date on this channel. Thank you so very much, and thank you to all the students who are regularly giving us new ideas, who are sharing their ideas with us, and giving us names of new platforms which we can provide you lectures on. Definitely we are going to come up with new things very soon. But for now we have to continue with this game development with Python, and I can see there are many students who are interested in learning how we can develop games using different modules like free games, Pygame on Python. So yesterday we started with Pygame, so it's again a very beautiful module using which we can develop games on Python. And earlier I shooted some 15 to 16 lectures, I think, in which I told you how you can use free games for developing games on Python. So it is again Pygame is again a very interactive and interesting module using which you can develop some very interesting and interactive games. So that's the code which we discussed yesterday. So the first thing which I would like to tell you is, if you're using PyCharm and you don't know how to install this Pygame module, so what you can do, you can come on this Python packages option, and that's what the window you are going to see. So simply you have to type the name of the package over here and you will find it getting reflected in this list, right? Because Pygame is already there with me on my device, so that is the reason I'm not able to see that install button over here. But if you will type it and you will search for this module on your device, definitely if it is not there, you will be able to see the install button getting reflected in the right side, the way I'm able to see it for this Pygamer, right? So it's not there on my device, that is the reason this install button is visible to me. Now let me just brief you about the code which I discussed yesterday in the class. So I imported this Pygame module and then I initiated it. Now why this initiation or initialization is required? Because so that we can make the Pygame specifications compatible with the hardware on which we are using it, right? So that's the reason we use this initiation function for. Then that's the function. Set mode is a function with the help of which you can set the dimensions of the window on which you want to see everything getting reflected. So if I run this code, so that's the output I'm going to get. So it's a greenish kind of background, and we have a window over here. Then we have this blue circle, right? So this window, the dimension of this window is 500 by 500. And how can we set the dimensions? We can make use of this set mode module for setting the dimensions. If I change it to 1500, suppose, that's how you can experiment with the code which you learn in these classes which I am giving right now. Experimentation is very much required if you want to visualize the code. Visualization is making pictures of everything in your mind so that the things can be more clear to you. Now if you'll change it to 1500, suppose you want to do some experiment on this value, so you can do it like this. 1500, I've changed that 500 to, and now if I run this code, so that's what the window I'm going to see. So it's now a window of having a 1500 width. Similarly, if you want to change the height, you can do that too. If I'll change it to, let's say, 1500, so that's the window I'm going to get. So it's a 1500 by 1500 window now, right? Okay, just a second, because it has covered up the entire window. I'm not able to see that close button. I'll have to close it myself. Yeah, so that's the way you can play with the dimensions of the window. I'm removing this one from here and I'm making it again equal to the one which I'm setting it again equal to 500 by 500. Now we have used this running variable over here, so I've set it to true, and then I used this loop while while running is equal to true. So while this value of running is equal to true, so I would like the interpreter to execute these lines of code for me. Now why this event I've used this event for checking the input which the user will provide us using joystick or using his keyboard or using his mouse. So if you want to capture any such event, you can make use of pygame.event.get function. So it is going to help you in capturing the event, or you can say capturing the input which the user will provide you. Pygame is an excellent module which can help you in reading the input provided by the user. If suppose the user is using this code you have developed, you have written, so he has a joystick connected to his device. So what he can do, he can simply, if he'll give some input using his joystick, you will be able to read it with the help of this Pygame because it supports that system, right? If he will press any key and you want to check, you want to identify the key which the user has pressed, so Pygame can help you in doing that too, right? If this user has clicked somewhere, you want to find out the coordinate of that point, like the way we can do it with the help of free games, with the help of Pygames also, it is very easy to find out the coordinates of the point the user has clicked at, right? So that's why Pygame is very important. We need to know about this Pygame if we want to develop interactive games. Okay, so if at any point of time this event.type will become equal to pygame.quit. Now what is this pygame.quit? That's what I would like to tell you first. So if I'll run this code, what will happen? I'm getting a window. I'm getting this kind of window, and right on the top in this title bar I'm able to see this cross button which is a closing button, which is a close button. Now if I hit this button, what will happen? The window will go away. It will get closed. Now why this window is getting closed? It's because the event type is pygame.quit, right? That close button, if I'm clicking on that close button, it is generating this type of event. It is generating a quit event, and the moment the event type will become equal to quit, what will happen? The value of running will become false, and the moment it will become false, for the interpreter, this while loop, interpreter will no more execute this while loop, right? Because it will execute this while loop till the time running, the value of running is equal to true. The moment it changes, it will stop executing this while loop and it will come out of the while loop, right? Now comes this screen.fill. So that's the function with the help of which you can provide some background color to the window which you are seeing over here, right? Now if suppose I change the coordinates of this, I change the coordinates which are there over here. Let's change them to, I'm changing it to 190 and I'm changing this one to 122. So now let's see what's going to happen to the background color. See, so it has changed to a brownish kind of background. So that's how with the help of this fill, you can fill the background with some specific color you want. Now comes pygame.draw.circle. So that's the function which is drawing for us on the screen a circle, right? Now what is this function? Why we have used this flip function? What has this been used for? So in order to bring the things and get them reflected on the window which is getting created by this, which this code is creating for us, we need a function, and flip is a function which is helping us in getting the things, the circle as well as the background, right, getting reflected on that window. If I'll remove this line of code from here and if I'll run the line of codes now, so I will not be able to see anything except this black window, right? That circle and the background color is no more visible to me. Why? Because we don't have any function in our code which can fetch for us the things and get them reflected on this window. So we need to use this flip function in order to get that circle, that blue circle, as well as this fill color window getting reflected in the background like this. right? So that's the use of flip function. And then we have this quit function, which is going to help us in coming out of that Pygame. At any point of time, if you want to come out, you can quit. So that's the whole code which we learned about yesterday. Now before moving to the next step, I would first like to see if I have any queries to answer. So if you have anything to ask, if you want to ask anything, or if you have any issues, you can share it with me in the chat box. Let me now come on my YouTube app and see if I have any queries over there. Have any queries to answer? Okay, Hridayansh, good evening, beta. And who else is there with me? So when are you going to start games with Java? Okay, we'll do it very soon, dear. Thank you very much for sharing with us this idea. In future, you will definitely get to see some tutorials based on this topic also, right? Okay, so I think I've answered the query. Now let's talk about the next step, which is how to define the game design. But before that, let me just tell you something about Pygame. Now after you are done with importing Pygame, you'll also need to initialize it. So we are done with the initialization, and as I've told you, this allows Pygame to connect to the abstraction to your specific hardware. Right now, once you are done with that, if you want to update to confirm, if you want to import pygame.locals, right? Why pygame.locals is required? For easier access to key coordinates. Okay, so that is the reason we use pygame.locals. Now how can you import pygame.locals? So simply what you can do, you can come up and on here you can put this keyword from, and from this pygame.locals, right, you can import few things. And what are those few things? Let me tell that to you. So if suppose you want to see whether, suppose you want to check whether the upward direction key is pressed by the user or not, so you can do it with the help of this K up, and then same thing you can do for this K down if you want to check whether the downward direction key is pressed by the user or not, so you can make use of this K down for that. Similarly, for the left direction key, we have this K left. For the right direction key, we have this K right, and for the escape key, we have this escape. Likewise, we have many other things. So there is one more, there is a function named key down you can use for checking which key is pressed by the user. And then we have this quit function also, right? So these are some of the functions, these are some of the properties you can use, and they are available in pygame.locals. So it helps us for easier access to the key coordinates. Now Pygame library defines many things besides module and classes, right? It also defines same local constants for things like keystrokes and mouse movement and display attributes. And you reference these constants using the syntax Pygame. Okay, now how to set up the display? So once you are done with fetching all these things from this pygame.locals, you can initiate Pygame with the help of this command. You can do it very easily. Now if you want to set the screen width, so what we have done here, we have passed some hardcore values for the width and height of the screen. If you want to first put the values in some variables and then you want to pass variables as parameters to this function, you can do that too, and that is a more easier way. So what we can do, we can simply use some variables like this. For example, for width, I'm using this screen width option, and here I would like to put this 800, and then we can use some parameter like screen height, Okay, and we can initialize it with some value, let's say 600. Now instead of using 500 on 500 over here for height and width, what we can do, we can use these variables over here, right? So what to do, we can simply copy this and we can put it over here, and we can copy this whole thing, and we can, just a second, yeah, we can copy this and we can put it over here like this, right? So what we have done, we have used two different variables and we have stored two different values in those variables, and now we have passed those two variables as parameters to this function. Okay, now if you'll run this code, so why we're getting this error? Okay, the value of escape is not correctly written by me, it's not a correct spelling. Let me make it correct. Yeah, now it is fine. I think I'll be able to get the required output now. Yes, so that's the window I'm getting, and that's the circle which is appearing here in the left side of the window. Let me just close this window and come back on my coding part. Fine. Now if you want to suppose set up the game loop, how can we do that? So every game from Pong to Fortnite uses a game loop to control gameplay. The gameplay does four very important things. It processes user input, it updates the state of all the game objects, and it updates the display and the audio input, and it maintains the speed of the game. Now every cycle of the game loop is called a frame. Remember this thing, every cycle of the game you are developing is known as frame, and the quicker you do things each cycle, the quicker you can do things in each cycle, the faster your game will run. Now frames continue to occur until some condition to exit the game is met. Okay, so in your design, in our design, there are two conditions that can end the game loop. The first one is the player collides with an obstacle, right? So for that we need to have an obstacle, and if the player collides with that, the game will end. That's how we are going to code it. And the second way we can end the game is by hitting that close button, right? So the first thing the game loop does is it process user input to allow the player to move around the screen, right? We need to catch the input which the user will provide to us by joystick or by keyboard or by mouse. So whatever I am telling you right now, you have to visualize those things. These are something these are some basic things which you have to keep in mind when you are developing, when you are coding a game. Now the second thing that comes is processing of events. So key presses or mouse movements and even joystick movements are some of the ways in which a user can provide input, right? Either you can make use of your joystick, you can make use of mouse, you can make use of your keyboard for providing some input to your game. Now all user input results in an event. Remember this thing. Whether you do it from your joystick or you provide the input from your keyboard, or you provide the input from your mouse, it will result into an event. Events can happen at any time, and all events in Pygame are placed in the event queue. Okay, which can then be accessed and manipulated. Now dealing with events is referred to as event handling. Okay, and then the code to do so is called event handler. The code that you write for handling the event is known as event handler. Now let me just write down some lines of code over here. So we are done with initializing it, we are done with setting the screen dimensions. It's time for us to come down over here. So while running, and for this is going to check for us this event type. So if the event type is equal to event in pygame.event.get, so let me now do one thing. Let me change it to something else. Suppose if the event.type is key down. Okay, if the user, just a second, if the user will press any key, so this event will get generated, this down event will get generated. So if the event type is equal to key down, then what should happen? I need to check if the key the user has pressed, is it equal to the escape key, right? Is it equal to the escape key? So how can we do that? We can again make use of an if control statement. If event dot, now the property you have to use is this event dot key. Okay, then if event dot key is equal to k underscore escape. So that's the this escape is going to help you in finding out whether the user has pressed the escape key or not. If the user has pressed the escape key, it will get activated. Okay, escape, it will become active. It will take the input. The input will be stored in it, or you can say key escape will become true. Okay, and the moment it becomes true or it becomes activated, I would like the value of running to become false. Why? Because I want to close the window. That's what it means, right? Okay, I've again got disconnected from the internet. Let me see if I can reconnect myself. Just give me a short moment. I have to check again whether everything is working fine on YouTube or not. So currently it's showing me I'm live. It's great. Okay, so once the user will press this key down, what should happen? It will check. I would like to check whether the escape key is pressed by the user or not. If the escape key is pressed by the user, I would like the window to get closed. So how can I close the window? I can make this running variables value equal to false. Right, and the moment it will become false, the window will get closed. Let me just show it to you. So I'm expected an indentation. Okay, there is an indentation error. I think now I'll be able to get the correct output if I'll define it like this. Sorry, running is equal to false. Okay, let's now run this code. Okay, and if I'll hit the escape button, what will happen? See, the window is now no more visible to us. We are able to close the window just by a single key press. So I pressed escape key and the window is now no more visible to us. That's how we can close the window. That now we have what we have done. We have made the window closing event dependent on the on a keyboard key, which is escape. Fine. So the moment the escape key will be pressed by the user, the value of this running variable will become false, and the moment it becomes false, this condition will become true. This condition will become false, and the interpreter will come outside this while loop. Now we can do one more thing over here. So while running is true, this is going to happen, and if event.type is key down, so that this will happen. Else if, we can put an if over here, else if the event dot type, if the event dot type is equal to quit, right, then what should happen? Then also this running dot false should become equal to true. Right, now what will happen if I run the code and if I hit the close button, then also the window will get closed, because I've defined this event, I've defined a condition for checking this also, that the user, if he will press, whether he has pressed that closing button or not. If he has pressed that closing button, so the window should get closed automatically. Right, so that's the code which is going to help us in finding out whether the user has clicked on the close button or not. If he has If we'll click on the close button, the value of running will become false, and the condition over here will also become false, and the interpreter will come out of the loop and the window will get closed. Also, this code will help us in checking whether the user has pressed the escape key or not. If he has done it, then what will happen? The value of running will become false, and the interpreter will come out of this while loop. Right, now let's talk about this screen fill function. So that's the function with the help of which you can fill the background of your screen with a specific color. Then if you want to, suppose you want to you want to define another surface on your window, can you do it? Yes, it is also possible. So what we can do, we can use another variable, let's say surf, and inside this we can use this pygame.surface function. So that's the function which is going to help us in creating a surface. And what we have to do, we have to now pass a value to the surface function in the form of tuple like this. Okay, so it is mandatory. Either you can pass a value to this in the form of a tuple, or you can pass it in the form of a list. I think no, list is not possible. List, it will not take a list, it only takes a tuple. So that's how you can pass a value to this surface function. And once you're done with that, you can now use this surf like this, surf.fill. Okay, and simply you can define the coordinates again, 0, 0, 0, and then I would like to now define this. What I'm doing right now, I'm giving the surface a color to separate it from the background. So I would like to see the I would like to see the surface getting reflected on my window. And how can I do that? If the background color is different from that of the surface color, definitely the surface will be visible to me, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I've given a different color to the surface, and we have a different background. So when the surface will come on this background, it will be visible to me. So I'm defining a new surface right now, and then we can use this another variable for this thing, surf.get and rect. Fine, and let me now run this code and see what's going to happen. What's the output we will get? Okay, so again we're getting this output, but we are not able to see the surface. How can we see the surface? So what we have to do, we'll have to use some magical functions for this. Let me just show it to you what function we can use. So we can use this screen.blit function. Right, this lines what this blit function will do, the full form of blit is block transfer, and to creating a new surface, it's very easy, but putting it on the background, we have to use a function, and that's the function which can help us in putting the surface on the background. So blit is for block transfer, and it is going to now transfer this surface which we have in this variable named surf to the screen. And how can we transfer it to the screen using the split function? We can pass this these two parameters, screen width, which we used on the top, right? We have to divide it by 2. Okay, and then we can do the same thing for screen height also. We have to divide this also by 2, and rest everything is going to remain the same. Then we can use this pygame.display.flip, and let me now check whether I'm going to get the required output or not. So we are able to see the small window over here. See, it is visible to us. So that's the surface we just created, right? And that's the way you can get to see that surface over here on this display. If you want to remove the circle, what we can do, we can simply eliminate this line of code for removing the circle, and now the only thing that will be visible to us is going to be this background, this screen, and this surface, the code of which we just defined on the PyCharm window, right? So that's how you can define a surface, and this is it from my side in this lecture. And I would like to see you all in the next lecture, and I hope you all will join me in the next lecture. Please be there. I'll be shooting the next lecture tomorrow, and we'll be discussing some advanced level concepts tomorrow. So just be there on time, and I'm going to take the class at 5:30 sharp, and I would like all of you to be there with your friends, right? You have to share this video in your groups also, so that your friends can also come and join the video. I'm going to brief you all first about the whole code which I have written till now in this Pygame, and after that we are going to discuss something more about Pygame. Right, so this is it from my side in this lecture. Hope you guys enjoyed this one a lot. Thank you very much for being there with me in this tutorial. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye everyone. Take care.